Behind the Mirror, What Others Don't See by Rosee Elliott. Little Wolf. Wolf is the grand teacher. Wolf is the sage who, after many winters upon the sacred path and seeking the ways of wisdom, returns to share new knowledge with the tribe. Wolf is both the radical and the traditional in the same breath. When the wolf walks by you, you will remember. Robert Ghost Wolf. Introduction. In buying this book, please do not automatically think that I have identified that you have a problem. It may well be that the only stuff behind your mirror is dust. If so, I would still like to invite you to read my book after you have taken your feather duster, got rid of the dust, cleaned it, and polished the glass to reflect the real you. This was a labour of love and took me way out of my comfort zone. Who am I? Who is Rosee Elliott? I have lived an interesting life that has involved me undertaking many different roles within my family: a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mother and a grandmother, and a teacher and head teacher within the education community. From the age of 4, I never wanted to be anything other than a primary teacher. So despite the pressures from my grandmother and grandfather to follow the family tradition of medicine and join the family practice, I went to college and trained as a primary school teacher. These roles taught me a great deal about life, and that sometimes, not every day, was as pleasant as I wished it to be, although most were. As a daughter, I lived with the story that I nearly killed my mother when I was born. It took me a long time to realise that being 2 weeks overdue and my mother suffering a pulmonary embolism, that was what nearly killed her, not me per se. As a wife and mother, I became submerged in those roles with very little consideration of myself as a person in my own right. I travelled far and wide as an oil wife. In 1979, with 2 sons, a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, the first posting was New Zealand. New Plymouth for 2 years, then Wellington for another 2 years. What an exciting experience. Halfway across the world, I was meeting wonderful friends and living life with equal measures of work and play. Work-life balance as it can be done. The next posting in 1983 was very different. Jubail in Saudi Arabia. We lived amongst the Saudi people, which was interesting in so many ways. I understood that many Saudi women had not attended any school growing up and were in arranged marriages. Women were not allowed to drive, and swimming pools were segregated after the boys turned 12 years old. My salvation was my return to teaching in the British and Dutch stream of the international school. My eldest son, Nick, returned to the UK to prep school at the age of 9 years old. A wrench, but a good decision regarding his education, though I'm not so sure that he will wholeheartedly agree with me. Nick's memory. I have to say that in the run-up to my first day, I probably was quite apprehensive about the move to Clifton Hall, just outside Edinburgh. That said, I was welcomed by the other boys in my year group with open arms and remain firm friends with a couple of them to this day. It was made easier as my first term was shortened by a family holiday to South Africa and New Zealand. The move provided some stability for me in terms of education and helped me form stronger bonds with both sets of grandparents with whom I would stay over half-term breaks. Probably, and most importantly, this prepared me for my time at boarding school in England later. I'm sure there were times that weren't altogether great, but I can't think of an example. Indeed, my own son, James, played his first competitive game of schoolboy rugby for the Edinburgh Academy there earlier this year. While driving up to the school to watch, my mind was filled with nothing but happy memories of my time there. When I got home after the tournament, my wife, Nikki, said I was grinning like a Cheshire cat, and that I just seemed filled with happiness and pride. So, Mum, I do think that it was not just a good decision, it was a great one. Thank you. Finally, Miriam Sarawak on the island of Borneo, where I spent my time sailing and on the golf course. What a life! A bit of a Walter Mitty experience. The real world seemed a long way off. My youngest son then joined his brother at prep school, aged 8. During this time, I learned that not all love lasts forever, and I was traded in for a younger, blonder model. In hindsight, the best thing for both of us. Back home in Aberdeen, I returned to my lifelong learning, a postgraduate diploma in management studies with a great crowd of youngsters. Not only a lot of learning, but also a great deal of fun and laughter. I had intended to start a preschool nursery, but returned to my professional life in primary education. Looking towards promotion, I was selected to complete a postgraduate diploma in early education, followed by a master's degree. Supporting and helping parents and children untangle their past experiences and uncover their blind spots required further knowledge and understanding. I started with a certificate in person-centred counselling. I followed my journey through transactional analysis with the developmental field of education. What a journey! What a revelation! I loved every minute of it. Using those models, unpicking my thoughts, feelings and behaviours and uncovering some of the reasons for them. I graduated a certified transactional analyst in education and used this knowledge and understanding to work with groups of children, parents and teaching colleagues. There came a time when I knew that it was time to move on, to retire. Well, maybe not retire, but explore new horizons. The opportunity arose to become a colour and image consultant with the House of Colour franchise within Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire. I have always adored colour and style. My mum and I could shop for Scotland. So I became a business owner. A bit of a shock compared to the public sector, where as head teacher at a large primary school, I had a school administrator and clerical assistant for my administrative tasks, and 2 deputy head teachers to take my creative thoughts and strategic thinking around learning and make them happen. 8 years on, I still carry out my administrative tasks with gritted teeth. Recently, I increased my knowledge and understanding of thoughts, feelings and behaviours. I completed my training towards becoming a mentor in imposter syndrome. At the start of the training, I was so sure that I didn't have it, and it didn't affect me at all until I started. As a certified mentor, I help clients to have a better understanding around imposter syndrome, what imposter syndrome is and what it isn't, dispelling the myths, clarifying the misinformation, and creating strategies to tame that drama queen, your inner critic. These clients know that they are not frauds. They are not just lucky. They now believe they are where they are because of their capabilities. I love what I do, and I will share more about colour and style in Chapter 4, Outside, Savvy Style and Confident Colour, and share some of the models from transactional analysis and imposter syndrome in Chapter 3, Inside, the Unseen You.